The number one concern of retirees, as everyone knows, is fear of running out of money. But a close second is having regrets. So I came across an article that was the result of from a survey of 15 regrets of retirees. I thought I would walk through it, talk about each one briefly. I think that will be interesting for you. I did enjoy the article. So let's go to that article. Now, the first thing you notice, this article is from Boldin. It's from the software package that I use. They do have a letter that comes out every week with articles, and this one is on retiree regrets, top 15. Okay, so let's just jump right into this. Number one, plan more carefully for fun you will have in retirement. I talk to a lot of people that budget their retirement, and they're looking at current expenses. This is what we live on now. We'll just project that forward into retirement. And I say, what are you going to do with all your free time? And then they'll start talking about traveling more, vacationing more, golfing more, picking up a hobby that may cost money. Hey, folks, that's called in your budget, you should have a category called go-go spending. What are you going to do with that time? Don't assume you're just going to be sitting on your hands watching Gunsmoke on television. So have a plan for that. I like to use go-go spending from my current age to 75, slow-go spending from 75 to 80, and then no-go spending after 80. Okay, so I have a base budget, say $5,000 a month. I may add go-go spending of $2,000 a month, just to pick a number, and then slow-go of $1,000 a month, and then no-go zero. So you got that 5,000, increasing for inflation through mortality. Hopefully that makes sense. Big deal. Okay, not saving enough. I mean, if you're listening to this video, you're probably getting too late for this. But not saving enough is what 78% of retirees said. I think my audience, you folks, are in a different category. Most of you have saved enough. Number three, not retiring earlier. I spend a lot of time and I have a lot of content on retiring whenever you can, as early as you can. I retired when I was 54. I was at the peak of my income, and the dumbest thing I've ever done financially was retire, but it was the smartest thing for me as a person, husband and a dad to do that. I've got total control of my time, reduce stress, focus on health. I spend my time on what I want to spend my time on, and it is glorious. I'm working on 7 years, getting close to 7 years now retired. But yeah, don't let that be you. One more year trap happens to so many people where they work 1 more year, 2 more years, 3 more years. And the worst thing I see in there is they assume their health is going to continue. They're 67, 68, 69. I'm healthy. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be the exception. And at 90 years old, I'm going to be climbing the Alps. Odds aren't with you. So number four, not planning adequately for healthcare. I've talked to a lot of people that just put in $2,000 a month for healthcare if they're retiring before Medicare or some government-sponsored health insurance. Do your research. There's other options out there. There's short-term plans where you can have this may not be for everybody, but have like a $10,000 deductible. There's health shares plans. I've got a video on this. It's linked in all my videos. I have a section called my top 10 videos. Take a look at that. Health shares is really cheap. I use Indiana Farm Bureau. Mine is $1,300 a month. When I retired, it was about 800. No, let's say 900 a month. 900 for my wife and I. It's 1,300 now, so well below 2,000. It's a great plan. I have no regrets for that plan. Number five, staying uninformed about personal finance. Folks, saving for retirement is actually pretty easy. You save 15, 20%, get a company match if you got that, put it in the S&P 500, put it in an index fund, and don't do anything for 35 years. When you're taking money out, there's there's a big difference. There's tax consequences to taking that money out, where you have that money positioned in a brokerage account, in an IRA account, or in a Roth account. When are you going to take Social Security? Do you have a pension? How does that factor into everything? How risky do you want to be? That's the next category, but how many bonds, how many stocks, how many alternatives, any gold? Personal finance is a part-time job in retirement. And as you get, 5-10 years away from retirement, I strongly suggest you hone your skills. The information is out there, easy to attain. YouTube is great. You can also use ChatGPT to ask any questions that you don't understand, maybe from a YouTube video. But it's a part-time hobby for me. I enjoy the subject matter. Number 6, investing too conservatively or too aggressively. This is one of the hardest things about retiring, how aggressive do you want to be? For me, when I was working, I was 100% stocks for till about 5 years from retirement, 100%. Okay. And then when you retire, it's about safety with growth. And that safety, adding that to my investment criteria was very difficult because, when the S&P 500 goes up 20% and I have 20% in bonds, I just fear of missing out, right? But the way I use buckets, you've heard me talk, I've got a bunch of videos on buckets. I want to have safety of right now of 10 years that I need, 10 years of expenses I need for my assets. That's net of any income, any pension, any Social Security, any YouTube income. That's solid income. And then anything I need from my investments to make up my spending gap, I have in fixed accounts like a money market fund, like treasuries, like in bonds and bond funds. Okay. That's just what I do, 10 years. Now, when I retired, I only had 6. Okay. But the market's been good. So I chose to take some risk off the table. Now, the market is still doing real good. I'm still 83% in equities and 17% in fixed. I'm not a bond fan, but I recognize they have a place in my portfolio for safety. Okay. Safety. Now, some people flop over the other way and want to have everything safe. And you got to be very careful with inflation. If inflation is 3-4% and your returns are only 3 or 4%, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful, especially when surprise expenses come up. So number 7, not taking control of your money. I'll tell you, this is just me. I'm an engineer. I like knowing how the sausage is made. I like knowing how things work. I cannot imagine turning my money over to a financial advisor and say, manage it, send me a check every quarter, and I'll just spend from that and live my life. I understand. I pay attention to changes in the law. I take into account taxes. I listen to people on what investments to make. I'm not that I make all any changes, but I like understanding what's going on with my investments. If my investments are down 20%, hey, I go into Boldin. I stress test it, put in my new information, make sure I have enough money. I feel confident. I'm not scared. Scared is a big deal in being able to spend in retirement. You don't want to be fearing I'm going to run out of money when you're 63, 64, 65 years old. If that fear is just based on, the worst possible things that can come, instead of going into like a Boldin plan or your knowledge of listening to other financial advisors of what's going on in the stock market. You don't want to have fear in there. So information trumps fear. Information trumps fear. So if you're fearful, seek out more information. That works great for me. Maybe it will be for you. And just don't turn over 100% control. Number 8 is paying too much in assets under management fees. 1% is a standard that people like to charge. If you have $1 million, that's $10,000 a year, but that's negotiable. Okay. That's negotiable. Maybe you can get 0.8, you can get 0.75. I don't know. But it's a lot of money to pay. And it's a lot of money to pay if you're doing the work yourself. It's a cheap amount to pay if you don't want to do any of this yourself. If you don't want to stay current, you don't want to manage your investments, you don't want to manage taxes, you got to do something. And flying blind is not the right. Will only end up bad. Let's just say that. Only end up bad. So you either got to consider managing your money yourself, a part-time job as you retire. It's not a lot of hours, a few hours a month. Or you're going to pay somebody. I choose to pay myself, right? Number 9, not getting a second opinion on your plan. Okay. Now, I didn't write this, number 9. This is a huge issue. Okay. When I was doing retirement coaching, which I no longer do, it just got overwhelming for me. It was just too big of a market that just too much work for me. I didn't want that much work. I loved doing it, but it was just overwhelming and causing me stress, actually. But I found 2 companies that'll do this comprehensive review for you for $300. And their link is below. Donaldson Capital Management and Defining Wealth. You'll be impressed. 100% of the feedback I've gotten was impressed. And people have gotten 2, 3, 10, 12. 12 is the highest number of pretty sizable changes they made to their plan. And these are good, strong DIYers. So not getting a second opinion is foolish. And I give you 2 options below. So you really don't have an excuse. You don't know who to talk to. And $300 is an absolute bargain. Also, inside of not getting a second opinion, Boldin does have, and you can see this section down here, when you subscribe to Boldin, $144 a year, which is a steal and I think a requirement if you're DIYing. They have live classes a couple a week that you can ask questions on them. They record those. You can get a Boldin coach for $250. They'll walk you through one-on-one, step-by-step through creating your Boldin plan. Okay. And they also have, and that's $250. Boldin advisors. If you want an advisor that's familiar with the Boldin software, it's $2,500 for detailed assessment of your plan, one-on-one with a certified financial planner. Check them out. I don't have a lot of experience and feedback on the Boldin advisors, just to be honest. The Boldin coaches have been stunning. The advice and coaching has been stunning, the $250. Okay, number 10, plan and make moves to protect taxes. Huge. This will be a regret of most people. I should have done a better job managing my taxes in retirement. When you're a W-2 employee, taxes happen to you. In retirement, you've got a lot of choices. And the choice that most people make is to put their head in the sand. And then they just pay the minimum taxes, minimum taxes, minimum taxes. Then RMD comes and they get a big shock that they're bumped up into a higher tax bracket, and they could have avoided it with good planning. Where you pull funds from, until I'm 75, where am I pulling funds from? Am I doing Roth conversions, pulling a little bit more to prevent big spikes at RMD time? A lot of options. Boldin lays it all out for you visually on a chart. 11, not planning for the unexpected. I got $250 a month in my plan for unexpected expenses. And that's just from history. My water softener just went out on me. It's going to cost, I bought one for $500. I paid somebody. This is a big growth for me. I paid somebody to install it instead of doing it myself. That's anti-Joe, but I chose to do that. So it's going to cost me about $750, but I put $250 a month into unexpected things. Expected expenses, excluding your cable or streaming and your Wi-Fi and all that stuff, trash, and electrical. Planned expenses are like a car, a roof, hot water heater, things like that. But I also just put in miscellaneous, what can happen. $250 is what I use. You do you. Number 12, saving but not planning for how you're going to take income. You got all this money, you got it in a brokerage account, you got it in a Roth, you got it in traditional IRA. How are you going to pull that out? And these things are all, nested together. How do you pull it out? To not sell stocks when they're down. I pull out, that's why I got buckets. I got bucket one money. Every 6 months, I kind of top it off and I use that. And then on a 6 month checkup, I decide maybe to fill up bucket one from my bucket two, from equities into my fixed. I decide whether I'm going to do that every 6 months. And that's my plan of how I'm going to create income. What's your plan? Some people use dividends. You do you. Some people want to use an annuity. Number 13, debt. Everybody regrets not paying off debt sooner. And I know there's a lot of people out there that love doing the arbitrage between, hey, I got a 3% mortgage on my house and I got my money making 4.5%. It's all free money. Makes sense. It does make sense on a sheet of paper, but it's an additional stress in your life. Also, a lot of people say your mortgage is $300,000. You got a $300,000 mortgage and you got $300,000 in a money market fund. Well, at times you're going to think you got $300,000 to spend on something, and your tendency will be to spend. Okay, that's the American way. You really have zero. Okay, so if you got great discipline, okay, if you're like most people, just pay it off and be happy. Number 14 is leaving money on the table, frustration with not getting like a company match or something like that. I also think leaving money on the table is not managing your taxes right. Paying your fair amount of taxes, nothing more. Number 15 is worrying about money instead of planning. Boldin does that for me. It gives me confidence to spend money once a quarter. I used to do once a quarter. That's why I almost said that. Once every 6 months, I go into Boldin. I stress test it. I'm going to make another video on that here in a second. But Boldin gives me confidence to spend money. I'm telling you, this is a big deal. Confidence to spend money. When the market goes down 30%, do I still take my Panama Canal cruise? Or do I cancel it because the market's down? I'm scared. What if it goes down further? I've got a plan. I can handle a market downturn. Okay. I've got enough cash reserves in my bucket one. I'm not going to waste my youth worrying about, do I have enough money? Okay. So great planning. Boldin with a external review of your Boldin plan, by somebody like Defining Wealth or somebody like Donaldson Capital Management. I think it is an exceptional way to gain confidence in your retirement plan, confidence to retire early, confidence to spend money. Okay, so there you go. There's 15 worries of retirees and my commentary on each of those. I really don't have any of those, and hopefully with good planning and forethought and listening to others, learning from others, you will not as well. It's Joe out.